Welcome back to Talk of the Town, and with me now I have Mark Miehe, and you are the president of Midwest Financial Group, and today we're going to talk about financial planning. Yeah. Thanks for being with us today.
Oh, my pleasure, Ellen.
It's great to have you here, and we're going to cover a lot of different topics, so we've got a lot of information, so I'm going to dive right into it here. So the term financial planning is a pretty broad term. What would you say your description is or definition of financial planning?
Well, Ellen, I'd say to start, financial planning should require and involve a written financial plan.
Okay.
A written financial plan is really a roadmap that's going to take you to your ultimate financial destination. And with anything as important as retirement, you really should have a map that's showing you and guiding you to where you want to end up.
Now, in regards, I'm kind of applying this to my own life here and applying it to myself. Is financial planning for everyone, or is it just for certain people or age groups? Because I think that's what people think, or I guess what I've thought.
And I think that's a very typical misconception.
Yeah.
I really think financial planning is for everyone. It's just that all people are at a different stage in their financial life. So a person who's younger and starting out is going to have different issues that they need to address than a person who's near or in retirement. So really everyone has that need for financial planning. It's just that the questions and answers are going to be different depending upon where you are in your financial life.
Now, something I heard you say is planning process. So could you just explain that a little bit more and describe some of the things you might address, I guess, in the planning process?
Certainly. There are many, many different things. We could spend an hour talking about everything that's involved.
I'm sure.
But really, if you think about anything that involves your financial life, it could be talking about saving money for a down payment on a house, or what type of a mortgage you get, or is this even a good time to buy a house? We talk about college education or retirement, your employer's retirement plan. What's the best investment to have? What's the best allocation of the investments to have? We can talk about wealth transfer to children, to another generation, about taxes, tax consequences currently or in the future, how you set up a plan and the things that you do that's really going to put you in the best position to take advantage of all those opportunities that are available.
I know you just listed a ton of different things you can look at, and I'm sure that you can help people with, which is awesome, but what would you say are the one or two most important things you do for people who work with you?
Well, I would say the two most important things are, number one, setting solid goals to help people talk through and think of what their goals really are, and then set them and write them down so we actually have it. So many people say, I want to retire someday, but we have to talk about, when do you want to retire? How much money will you need in retirement? So getting that solid goal set and then initiating that goal and starting taking actions. If you don't start, you'll never get there. So we need to actually start the plan and then work with and monitor the plan along the way through the years to be sure that you do stay on track.
It's interesting because that's good advice for any goals you want to set, is when it's kind of just this thought up in the air, unless you put it into words, unless you put it on paper, it's hard to reach. So it kind of applies to all things in life.
There's no reason why this should be different.
Absolutely. And now what you do seems kind of complex, I guess, with income projections or taxes and inflation investment analysis. So would it be helpful for someone to get more background information or educational materials on some of these topics before meeting with you?
That's kind of a yes or no answer.
Okay.
It's very important, and we think it's important for people to be educated on why we recommend the things that we do.
Yeah.
But the problem is there's so much information available today, we find that oftentimes information doesn't mean knowledge, information creates confusion.
That's very true.
Because there's so information that's so broad that doesn't apply to someone very specifically. And every person is very unique. That'd be like me saying, Ellen, here, these glasses work perfectly for me, so you should always wear them.
Right.
Well, they're not going to work for you. The same way with our financial lives, we have to be very specific to a person's individual situation.
That's a really good example. That's a good point there, and a good way to, I think, explain it to people that it's not a one shoe fits all or one size fits all type of deal. And so if someone's thinking that they could maybe benefit from a meeting with a financial planner like yourself, is there a question they could ask themselves to help gauge their best course of action?
Well, I would think there's two things a person could ask themselves. First of all, if they're going to work with someone, it's going to be very important that they feel very comfortable with that person. We need to have a very strong, trusting relationship when you can communicate well, both directions, because communication and trust is just ultimately important in this type of financial relationship. So that would be something that would be very important in choosing and working with a person. The second thing that I would say, and a question that we ask people, is simply this. We ask a person, so ask yourself, do I know exactly how much money it's going to take for me to retire comfortably and remain comfortably retired? And if you don't know that number, what that is, then you probably could benefit substantially from working with someone to really find that out and then know and feel comfortable that you are on the path to ultimately where you want to be financially.
Some great information. Mark Miehe, thank you so much. Midwest Financial Group, thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And we'll be back with more Talk of the Town right after this.